The state legislature adjourned on May 9th. The only thing left to cover was the budget. It's certainly a big thing, but a conference committee was going to get together. They were going to hash everything out, and we were going to have a budget fairly soon. Well, it is now the middle of June, and State Senator Tom Davis joins us. You've been waiting for the phone to ring to be called back to Columbia to vote on this, and it hasn't rung yet. What's going on up there, or what's not going on up there?
Well, the conferees have not agreed. I mean, you have 3 members of the House and 3 members of the Senate who are meeting to reconcile the 2 versions of the budget that have been passed by the House and the Senate. And we were all set to come back up, and then we got a call saying they were at an impasse and that they weren't ready for us to come back up there. And I think it has to do with some major spending programs that the House wants to have funded. The Senate has a different idea. It seems like every year it comes down to this, that the House and the Senate conferees, kind of face off. The good news is, Bob, we've already passed a continuing resolution so that if there is not a budget enacted by June 30, we'll just simply have last year's budget with cost of living increase. So everything will go on as before. So we got a little bit of time, but I'm optimistic that they can reach a resolution sometime this week. All
right. The other big issue you're working on, and you have been working on for quite some time, the bridges to Hilton Head. The town council is meeting. They're getting finally a consultant's report on where they should go. You've seen that report. Most of us have not. What's maybe the big takeaway?
Well, I think what we're going to find is the town of Hilton Head sometime this week meeting to decide whether to give municipal consent to the DOT plans. Right. And of course, as you know, 7 members of town council. If 4 members or more say yes, we move forward. If it's less than 4, then we're back to the drawing board. But in regard to the plan itself, the South Carolina Department of Transportation preferred alternatives has been analyzed and looked at by an independent consultant. Various modifications, conditions, adjustments to that are being proposed. I think they're all very positive. I've met with the DOT secretary and also the chairman of the State Infrastructure Bank. I think they're on board with what these changes are. I mean, but it remains to be determined that is this something that the people of Hilton Head want? Because that's been my goal throughout this. I've had 2 objectives. 1, to keep the money in place, to make sure the money is there to pay for it. Right. And 2, give enough time to make sure that this project is something that is reflective of what the people of Hilton Head want. So we're going to find out this week what the answer to that second question is, Bob.
Yeah. Anything radical in this new consultant's plan that we haven't seen before?
I don't know if I would call it radical. I would call it substantial. There's been a very significant attempt to mitigate the impact on the Gullah Geechee community. Okay. Some very aggressive plans to revitalize that area. As you know, they have disproportionately borne the brunt of economic growth for Hilton Head Island over the years. And I think there's a concerted effort to really look at the northern end of Hilton Head Island and do right by the Native Islanders. So I commend the town of Hilton Head for really drilling down and focusing on that.
Do we need to get something done? You say the state is on board, but you've been kind of holding them off for a while. They've got other places they could spend the money. We kind of getting closer to a deadline on making something happen?
Yeah, I think that this is the week where the decision needs to be made by the town of Hilton Head on whether it wants to move forward or not. I mean, I'm glad to have gotten them more time. I think giving them more time, more citizen input, more chance to look at the plans, to consider alternatives and how to mitigate the impact to the Gullah Geechee community. But I think we've come down to this week, Bob, is when a decision by the town of Hilton Head has to be made whether to consent or not consent. I think that's where we are.
Okay, we'll see how it all turns out. State Senator Tom Davis, thank you so much for joining us, and we will talk again soon. We'll take a trip to the farm next on the WHHI Daily News.